go. Alright, check out this thing. Kind of a piece of junk at the moment, but I picked this thing up for $1,400. It's a 2007 Yamaha YFZ450. Got a really good deal on it, 1,400 bucks. You'll see why in a second here. But you can see the VIN right here. 10th letter in, or 10th number I should say, is a 7. Right there is a 7. So it is in fact a 2007. It looks pretty complete from what I can see. I looked over all the parts, came with all these parts as well. I looked over all the parts and I couldn't find anything that was missing except for a couple like oil gaskets and stuff like that, but nothing super important. It's got ITP wheels on it. You can see. They're kind of cool. They're not too bad. Look pretty nice. Tires have seen better days. Looks like they've been doing burnouts. One of the A-arms is bent, you can see. Right here. So it must have hit something. The wheel right there must have cracked something. And that one's kind of bent up too. Looks like it hit a couple rocks or something got bent. They were probably jumping this thing. Let's see what else does this thing have on it. Looks like everything is stock so far. The seat looks pretty nice. No rips in the seat at all. Kind of rare. Put that over here for now. It's got a GYTR air filter on it. Solenoid is all here. Air box is here. I think the lid is over here somewhere. Yeah, here's the lid for it. It's got a K&N lid. I believe this fits on here. Yeah, it goes like that. So that's kind of nice. That's aftermarket. What else we got over here? Brake doesn't work. Front brake. We've got Pro Taper bars. What's this thing? Looks like a parking brake. That's interesting. Never seen that before. Plastics are not on it at all. It was registered in 2022, so it looks like it was running at one point back in probably 2021. So basically the story goes, I found it up on Facebook Marketplace for 1,500 bucks. I messaged the guy. I must have been maybe the first one because it was probably within like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of him posting it. And I asked if I could come see it and he was available, so I stopped over and he said that he got it this way. He hasn't touched it and he said that he was going to put it back together but was moving and didn't have time. So he ended up selling it to me for, we agreed on a price of $1,400. So he knocked off 100 bucks. It was about an hour, 15-minute drive for me, both ways. So about 2 hours and 30-minute drive to go get it. But I think it was pretty worth it because it came with a engine that supposedly runs. And it's all complete. I checked it over. Everything looks good on it. So hopefully this is a 2007 model and will bolt right into the frame. But it comes with a starter. Comes with, looks like a voltage regulator of some sort. And it's all complete back there. Shifter, everything looks good. It's got a couple aftermarket parts on here. It's got the Boyson factory racing cover. These things go for $100 alone. It's got this thing. The water pump, I don't know if that's aftermarket, I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know what the logo is right there, but that came on it as well. That we can dig into soon. But basically this thing came with all these parts as well. This is the engine that blew up on it. He said that it dropped a valve at one point, and you can see the damage there. Pretty bad. But it looks like the crank might be fine. There's no up and down play in the crank. Just a little side to side. So there's a bunch of good parts in here. The clutch basket looks good still. All the gears look good. He said he was going to rebuild it, but decided not to. And then it comes with the stock pipe, stock plastic, stock gas tank, and then here are the extra A-arms that he got with it because he said the other ones were bent. So he was going to put those on, but never did. And then it looks like a spare axle as well, even though this one is good. So I'm not sure why he was going to put that on there. Unless it's bent somehow, but I don't think it is. But yeah, here are all the parts. And then all the bolts and everything are in this box. We've got oil filter, some bolts, sprockets, engine mounts. There's the swing arm bolt. There's the clutch cover. So comes with everything we need. And then it came with these two heads as well. So you can see those are without valves. You can see the damage to that head right there. I don't even know how that would happen, but that looks rough. And then it comes with another head with all the valves in it still. But it looks like that's really rough as well. So definitely dropped a valve at some point, but we can salvage some of those valves and some of the parts off there as well. So here are the other box of parts. So the cylinder actually looked pretty good. Doesn't look like any scratches really on the cylinder too much. Comes with a flywheel and a flywheel puller. The other pieces in my flywheel kit, but it's nice to have an extra flywheel. Here's an extra cover, and then an extra water pump impeller and water pump mechanism. So these are all really nice parts to have. Another one as well. So we've got two of those, two spares. A couple extra starters, two extra starters, clutch plates, another magnesium cover, another starter gear mechanism, bunch of bolts, a chain, a couple top end gaskets. So tons and tons of parts that are really, really nice to have, and they're pretty expensive actually. So that's why I thought it was a pretty good deal at $1,400. I thought it was definitely a good deal because it came with that engine. So, alright, what we're going to do today is try to get this thing all assembled. We're going to check out the engine first and see if we can put that in the frame. Alright, looking at this engine, it looks pretty good. Everything's hooked up properly. Looking in there, it looks like all the valves are straight. I don't know if there's oil in it, probably not, because usually there's oil in the oil tank, but there might be some left in the case here. We'll have to drain that out and see. But let's take a quick look underneath the valve cover, see what's going on. That one's stripping in there. Hoping he was truthful and that this thing actually does run. Otherwise, I think we have enough parts to try to fix it if it doesn't. There's underneath there. Looks pretty good so far. All the bolts are in place, that's a good sign. timing chain is like, doesn't budge. That's way too tight for the timing chain. Yeah, that's not a good sign. That's extremely tight. There's zero play in that. So, that might not be good. We'll definitely have to take off the tensioner. Let's just kind of loosen up that tensioner here quick. There should be at least like 1 millimeter to 2 millimeters of play in the timing chain. We'll just loosen this thing up quick. It's not coming out. Another bad sign. That probably means that the tensioner is junk on it, which I think we have another one to use. Oh man, you can see it already tensioning out. It's almost like somebody didn't retract it before putting it on and then kind of forced it in there. Let's see if it loosens up now. Alright, let's see if it's broken or not. This should twist in. Yeah, that twists in. You can see it come in now. What you're supposed to do is cap it right there and then put it in like that. Now you can see timing chain's loose. So what we're going to do is reinstall this the correct way and see if that fixes the problem. Right now we'll release it and see it tension up, but it doesn't tension up too much. That's how it's supposed to be. So let's start digging into the bottom of it over here and see if we can turn this engine over to see if it has compression and all that fun stuff. I guess we can get the spark plug out first. This will kind of tell us how it was running before, if it was running at all. And at one point it was running pretty good. You can see it's nice and brown. So that's a good sign. It looks like the oil line right here is missing a crush washer. So it looks like he took that off. Unless this thing ran out of oil. Oh, there. And then this one's double stacked right there and missing the one underneath. So that was definitely off at one point as well. Let's check the timing next. See if we can crack this guy. Looks like aftermarket caps. That was on there. Alright, now we're looking for a little notch in there. Usually this is a 17 millimeter. Hopefully it rotates. You can hear a little crunchiness. It's rotating. Put some WD-40 down the cylinder. It just sounds kind of crunchy. I rotate this a couple times. Now we're looking for the mark here. There's the mark right there, lined up with the notch. Right there. You can see it. It's right after the H looking symbol. Just a solid straight line. So that line is top dead center. Now we're going to come up here by the cams and check out if the timing marks are correct, which it doesn't look like they are. They're close. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, that one's correct right here. You can see the dot right there is lined up with the surface of the cylinder, and then this dot is not. You can see it's close, but it's about 1 tooth off. You can see it's a little bit above the cylinder here. So that timing is not on perfectly, and you can see the lobes are kind of facing different ways. You can see this one's facing more up, that one's facing more out, and it should be facing down, that one's facing up. See that? So timing is definitely not correct on this thing, so I don't know if this ever ran right, if it did run. And now the cam chain, you can see, now that we put the cam chain tensioner in correctly, we've got that 1 to 2 millimeters of play in there. So we have to take this off and readjust the timing. Alright, let's get these off of here. Oh, man. Those are on there pretty good. Drop that down there. So these don't look too bad. A little bit of wear right there, not horrible. It looks like. Ooh. There was oil in it, that's good. But same with these. Not too bad. So this dot right there needs to come down a little bit, so we're going to turn this sprocket that way. Got the chain loose here. Hopefully it's loose enough. Alright, now we're perfect. You can see the dot right there, right above, like a millimeter above the surface, and then the dot right there, right at the surface. If you go, and then this dot will be pointing 45 degrees out like that, and this dot will be straight up and down. And if you look, the lobes are pointing opposite directions, and the piston is at top dead center, so timing's set correctly. Now we're going to check the valve clearances now that we are perfectly in time. So the manual says that valve specs for the intake are 0.004 inches to 0.006 inches. So let's check that first. We've got it set to 0.006 right off the bat. And you can see it's perfect at 0.006 for this one. A little bit of pressure to get in there. Same with that one, you can feel it rubbing. See the resistance? So 0.006 is pretty good for that. Those are a tad loose, but it's still making contact with the 0.006, so we're going to leave it. At least it's not tight. And then for the exhaust, it's 0.008 to 0.010. So we'll start at 0.01 and see if they're too big. Perfect. and perfect. So those are all set to go. At least the valves were in spec. All right, now I want to check the starter gears and see if those are okay. You can see the bolts missing right there. So I'm kind of suspect of that not being correct. Let's see though. This whole thing should come out. And it looks like everything is there. You can see the one-way bearings working because that spins that way, but doesn't spin this way. This way, the gear should spin that way. Yep. See, that's working. So that looks like that's correct in there. So we can put that back. And this line right there lines up with the one at the top. Alright, so far everything's checking out. Let's see if it shifts here. What the heck? And it does not shift. What the heck? Well, that's a big problem. Doesn't shift. That's not good at all. Doesn't feel like something's connected right in the clutch side. So we're gonna open up the clutch side and see what's going on. Maybe that's why the guy had this thing off of here, because he was trying to get to the clutch to try to fix the shifting problem. Well, the no shifting problem kind of sucks. So let's try to figure out what that could be. I thought the guy was telling the truth when he thought the engine ran. Maybe it ran and didn't shift and he didn't tell me, I don't know. But that is not doing anything, so that sucks. That one's stripped out of there. Basket looks good so far. No dings in it or anything. See what the oil filter looks like. This will tell us if the bottom end is junk or if the transmission is grinding. Oh, and it looks like the oil filter's off of it. No oil filter in it. Are there metal chunks on it? This is gonna suck if there is. Hard to tell. A couple metallic-y pieces. Not enough to determine if the bottom end is junk. You can see a couple flakes. Should come off of here. There we go. Don't want to rip the gasket here. That's off. Everything looks pretty decent in here. I don't see anything that doesn't look. I don't see anything that looks horrible. I don't see any metal chunks anywhere. Let's see when I shift it. Oh. So if you look right here, this is supposed to be right here. So when you shift it, watch this. So I knew something was up. That's not grabbing anything. That's supposed to be right there on that thing right there. So I can pull that up. Let's just try to. Alright, so luckily that was the problem. We got that back in the groove, and we're in neutral right now. Oh. There's first, neutral, second, third, fourth, fifth. Yeah, that's working good. So it was just that little guy, the shift shaft right there was off. So that was a pretty easy fix, luckily. Alright, the engine checks out. Let's try to get this thing in the frame and see what that looks like. Hopefully it bolts up in here. Alright, engine is in. At least the swing arm bolt is on. Alright, we gotta see if all the other mounts fit then. Alright, engine is all mounted in. Now we just have to hook up all the lines, the clutch cable, everything like that, all the boring stuff. So I'll quick do that. I won't make you guys watch that. And then we've got to get the carburetor hooked up. I'll go through all that stuff once we get all the other crap hooked up here. Alright, the coolant lines are hooked up, the oil lines are hooked up, everything is hooked up, spark plug's hooked up. Let's check and see if we get spark. Let's hook up a battery. Moment of truth here, will it turn over? I mean, it should, but you never know. I'm hoping the crank's not bad. I just have a feeling that the guy sold it with a bad crank. Just a feeling it's a bad crank, but we'll see. Alright, let's see if we got some good spark here. I guess first we'll turn on the key. And there's nothing going to the neutral light. Nothing going to anything. There we go. Let's see. Maybe a fuse is broken. Alright, so it looks like this 15 amp fuse right here is blown. You can see that. I'm going to take that out of there. It was blown. Let's see. I think this is the spare right here. And I guess we'll see what happens. Right, turn on the key and we're still not getting power. So I took off this plug right here. We're gonna test and see if we're getting 12 volts after the fuse. Right, we've got the key on. Let's just see if we're getting 12 volts here. Yep, 12.6. Yeah, we're getting voltage. Connect that back in there. See if there's a ground on here. Maybe the ground is bad. Nope, there's a ground. Alright, we're gonna follow that red wire up and see where that leads. Alright, we must have wiggled something free, but now we're getting voltage. The neutral light doesn't work, but check this out. It does turn over. Ooh, big spark. I don't know what was going on there. Oh. Alright, we're not getting any spark now, so I don't know what's going on with that. We gotta diagnose that now. Alright, so we found the problem. The problem was the Tor's switch. So this is the throttle switch up here. You can see there's a little red knob in there that when it hits, it shuts off the machine. So the Tor switch must be bad, and it's allowing no spark when the throttle is in the idling position. So what we're gonna do is just bypass this thing. People just bypass these all the time. So we're gonna follow this wire down right here, and it goes down to this plug right here. We're just gonna take that apart and then join those two wires together, and that will bypass the switch. All right, now we're getting spark with it, so I'm just gonna leave it, I guess. We've got good spark going to it now. For some reason, I'm not really sure how we're getting good spark now, but we are. So this is with everything connected. Nothing is disconnected or bypassed. We've got good spark, so I don't know. I think maybe the switch right here was dirty. I disconnected that and reconnected it, and now it works. So I don't know, figure that one out. All right, so the YFZs take 0.5 quarts of oil directly in the engine, and then another 1.5 quarts in the tank. So let's do that next. 0.5 in here first. All right, that's 0.5. So we need one more quart after this. All right, and then we'll add another quart and oil change will be done. All right, let's take a look in the carburetor. I just want to check the jets out. I'm sure it's already clean, but it doesn't hurt to check it while we have it off. Got her. That was pretty on there. Yeah, it's pretty clean. We'll blow it out. Doesn't hurt. But what are we running for jets here? Let's see. Main, I guess we don't even have to take it off. Main is a 165. Pilot is a 45. All right, let's blow these out. Looks like the pilot was clear anyway, but it doesn't hurt to blow it out quick and clean that up. All right, let's get some coolant into the quad here. Hopefully it holds. Good to go in there. All right, let's get some gas in it and attempt the first start. All right, here we go. First start attempt. Is the crank bad? Does it have compression? We do not know any of these things, so right now we find out. Let's see if she fires up. We're gonna use choke, and I guess we'll see if this battery can turn her over. Here we go. A little loud on the top end. Idling great though. Not smoking. Alright, well, it runs pretty good. I hear a little bit of top end noise. I don't know if it's the valves or the timing chain. I kind of suspect the timing chain, even though it was pretty tight when we checked. So I might have to check that again and just make sure, but the valves were a little bit on the looser side, but I don't think it'd make a noise. You know, they would, when I put the feeler in there, they're pretty tight, but they weren't super tight when I put the feeler in. So they're definitely within spec. So it really should not make a noise. So I'm kind of leaning towards the cam chain. But yeah, she runs pretty decent. Everything sounded pretty decent besides that. It idled perfectly and starts right back up, so timing must be spot on. And it didn't overheat or anything. The lights didn't come on and the pipe didn't glow red. So I think we're doing pretty good so far. But I think we're going to end the video there for today. Next video, we'll get all the plastics back on, the seat back on. Get the A-arms changed out because these are bent, and then we'll check over the valves one more time, the cam chain again, and then take it for the first ride. But we came a long way from this engine being on the bench over there to a running quad, so I'm pretty happy with it so far. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, stay tuned for next video, and until next time, we are out.